All right, what's up, everybody? Good morning. It is a dreary June day out here in the depths of Ohio. It's Jrod here with the sellouts. So today I thought I'd take a ride, go out, and talk about the Triumph demo day I did about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, something like that. It was over in Indy, and as you've seen on the channel, I put maybe four first rides up for the Speed Twin 900, the Speed Twin 1200 RS, the Tiger Sport 800, and the Street Triple 765 RS. If you want to, go check them out. I have a playlist that I've made because apparently you can do that. But today I thought I'd talk about the rest of the stuff I wrote. On the list includes the Bonneville Speedmaster, the Scrambler 900, the Speed Twin 1200 Standard, the Daytona 660, and the Tiger 900. This is going to be kind of a free form thing, but I'll try to keep a general structure. So, let's ride along and see if you get anything out of this. Now we're on the main thoroughfare here. Let's go ahead and talk about the Bonneville Speedmaster. This is the point in the day where I ran out of battery before I had bought new ones. So I had to just kind of take a few videos. My partner was kind enough to do that. And just kind of remember what I talked about. So these are going to be general overviews, not anything specific. So the Speedmaster, it's built on the chassis that the Bobber is, the sellout Mike has. The seat is far more comfortable, and that's saying something because Mike's seat is phenomenal. It's the same 1200 high torque engine that I have, that he has. It's definitely more relaxed. It's got kind of beach handlebars, so it's kind of like this instead of mine. You actually have mid or slightly forward controls. I wouldn't call them complete forward controls like you do on like a Harley or a Japanese cruiser, but it's definitely more forward than the Bobber. The Bobber has kind of mid controls. I had a lot of fun on it. It's definitely not something I would want all the time, but for a casual afternoon, it was a lot of fun. I don't particularly care for the beach handlebars. That just wasn't very comfortable for me. The seat was incredible. Standard Triumph brake quality. I think they had Brembos on the front and back. I don't really know, but I know there were Brembos on the front. Uh, just a very comfortable ride. With the seat being so plush, I didn't notice the bumps as bad as I do on Mike's Bobber. So that was kind of a nice. That was a really nice feature. It was just a casual ride. The Speedmaster is a niche bike, but I understand the niche. It's not for me, but I can see why people would want it. So, in short, nice, fun cruising bike. If I were in the market for a cruiser, that'd be what I go for. Maybe change the handlebars up, but keep that glorious seat. Not for me, but I had a good time. Second bike I rode, I think that's at the point we went for lunch. So came back from lunch and I rode the Scrambler 900. Also, I think it used to be called like the Street Scrambler. I don't know. It's the 900 parallel twin that the Speed Twin 900 and the T100 shares. I don't think it's tuned any differently than the T100, but I could be wrong on that. I won't swear to that. Um, by far, and I'm going to say this with no qualifiers, best stock exhaust I have ever heard on a Triumph motorcycle. Hell, even on anything I've test ridden, that that Scrambler exhaust is amazing. Just stock. The downside to it is I don't like high pipes. I just don't. I like having the ability to grab the tank with my knees, and it definitely causes a little problem in that format. You get all the same qualities you do out of the T100 because you do share the spoked rims. Um, the seats really nice. I was spoiled for choice for seats after lunch because the seat on the Scrambler 900 is really good. I enjoyed it immensely. It was a fun ride. Someone asked me, actually got a comment on the video I did about the Speed Twin 900, if I thought the torque would be too much for a beginner. And asterisk, no, but it depends on your maturity level too. Like for me, had I started on that, I started on a Royal Enfield Interceptor, um, and I was totally fine. That torque's not insane. It's fine. The Speed Twin, the T100, the Scrambler, I would imagine, it is a reasonable amount of torque. It's fun. It's a fun amount of torque, but it's not so arm wrenchingly powerful that you will you'll throw yourself if you have a little bit of caution. Don't get on it thinking it's safe because no motorcycle's safe. So back to the Scrambler. It's got some torque, it's got some top speed. You can keep up on the highway here in the U.S. if you wanted to. But the Scrambler's a good bike. It's a good platform. I don't know as I like the looks of the pillion seat. I would consider doing the mod of putting a rack on in place of that pillion seat because I don't carry passengers. My partner is not a fan of the motorcycle riding, but it is a fun motorcycle, and it was one of the more pleasant experiences I had that afternoon. And yeah, the color, as I'll show in the picture that I flash above here, I love that color. It is Triumph's best new color in my opinion. That like mint seafoam green, great bike, great bike. I can understand why people ride them. They are very pricey. It's around $11,000, which is more expensive than the T100 and the Speed Twin. And honestly, my money on the table, I would probably get the T100 or the Speed Twin. And with that leaning heavily towards the Speed Twin because I really enjoyed that bike. So, Scramble 900. If you only want one bike, there's a really solid case to be made for that one. Bike number 3. Couple caveats to get out of the way on the Daytona 660. 1, I had never ridden a sport bike before. 2, I had never ridden a sport bike before. Still has the triple that the Trident has. I think it's tuned a little higher. Sure felt like it. Sure felt like the revs were higher. Have to say, it was a pretty forgiving sport bike as far as that goes. A lot of fun. I did enjoy it. I am not a sport bike rider though. I don't like this idea of keeping my head up, and it actually hurt my neck on the 15-minute ride I was on. I didn't. I like the fun revs. I like the triple. I've talked about that before. The 660 triple from Triumph is a delightful little engine. It's so much fun. Maybe I'm writing it wrong. Again, this was my first sport bike, so take all this with a grain of salt. I have a heavy bias against sport bikes because I'm 44 years old and it's uncomfortable. And you know what? Call me whatever names you want. I didn't enjoy it. It's not my experience. However, it was fun for 15 minutes. I paid for it afterwards, but it was a good time. It was a novel experience, and I do like novel experiences. Would I recommend trying one? Absolutely. Totally go try one if you can find a truck or whatever, Absolutely go try it. Especially if you've never ridden one before. Variety is the spice of life, and I like spicy. So that brings me to bike number 4, standard Speed Twin 1200. Now, I have a lot to say about this, but I'm not going to bog it down. They took the 2024 Speed Twin for the standard model and tuned it up a little bit. I think you get a little extra, maybe not on the standard. They changed the foot pegs a little. I don't know the exact things that happened because by this time in the day, I will admit I was getting tired. But if you make the mistake and ride the Speed Twin 1200 RS first, I just don't know if you're going to enjoy the standard 1200. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. I would save myself the extra $3,000-$4,000 and just if you can't spring for the RS, don't even bother with the standard 1200 and go backwards and get a 2024 or earlier Speed Twin 1200 because I don't know how much different they are, and I've heard that from other people too. I talked to a couple guys on the DGR this year that actually were riding Speed Twins, and they said they test drove the new standard one, and they weren't really that impressed. And I'll tell you right now, if I have it to buy the RS, I'm buying the RS. The Öhlins shocks, The extra kick of horsepower, it's 100% worth that extra $4,000, $3,000, whatever it is. I don't know now off the top of my head. It's worth it to me. If you don't have it, but you still want the Speed Twin, just get an older one. You'll save yourself some money and probably be just as happy because I think they only tuned up for the 1200 RS. I think they now have it to the Thruxton level. To be quite honest with you, the 2025 standard position is not as comfortable as the RS position. And I don't know if it's because it's attempting to be halfway between like what I have, the T120, and the 1200 RS. I did not like. I really thought I would like the 1200 standard more than the RS. I was like, well, why would I buy the RS? I don't need all that. I could not have been more wrong. The 1200 RS suspension makes a difference. I said it in my video on that. That was one of the first times I really understood when people talk so much about suspension. It made a difference. I felt so much more in control. I felt more connected to the road, and the standard 1200 just feels like a massive step down. So to me, the 1200 standard just feels redundant. I don't see the necessity for it myself. I don't understand it myself. I'm sure people have good arguments for it. It's not for me. I wouldn't do it. I would go for the RS. Hit us up down in the comments and we can kind of respond to that. But all in all, full summation of the standard 1200, it wasn't nearly as comfortable or as enjoyable an experience as the RS. It wasn't bad. I don't want to give that impression. But comparatively speaking, it wasn't as good as the RS. And I suppose you wouldn't expect it to be. But I would bypass that one altogether. So that leads us to the last bike of the day. And this was another first for me. I got a lot of variety in that day, and that was probably one of the biggest things I liked about demo days is you do get a lot of variety. If you're willing to really go all in, you can experience a lot of new stuff. So my last bike of the day was the Tiger 900, and I was a little nervous because adventure bikes are a little top heavy. I'm still a newish rider, so top heavy bikes are not my friend. I didn't care for it, and I don't know as I would like adventure bikes. It is comfortable, but I did not at any point feel comfortable enough to really get on it and open up. I believe it's also a triple. It's just not for me. Maybe in another 2 or 3 years, after more practice, I'll feel better about riding adventure bikes. But that Tiger is it's heavy, it's slow, and I didn't even finish the full test ride. I took a detour after about 5 or 6 minutes and went back and just called it a day. The power is good. It really is. I've heard people call adventure bikes like that soulless. I don't know if I'd go that far, but it definitely doesn't have as much personality as my Bonnie. If I'm going to do off-road, I'm going to get a dual sport or a supermoto or something like that. And if I'm going to do touring, I'll get either a cruiser or a sport touring like the Tiger 800, which is a phenomenal motorcycle. Plus, they are so expensive. Triumph adventure bikes are all adventure bikes are expensive. That's just how the market is right now. That, dear friends, homies, and countrymen, was my experience with the 2025 Triumph Demo Day. Great experience. Like I said, I love demo days. You really get to stretch and try new things. Go do a demo day. If you got a chance, go do one. They're a lot of fun. You meet some nice people. I met some really cool people there. Not people that I'm going to probably ever see again, but it was a lot of fun. And I got to experience some new stuff. It makes you appreciate your bike better, or it points out the flaws and what you want from riding a motorcycle to begin with. So I would recommend it to anyone, especially Triumph. They have a really good system set up. You don't have to do a lot. People are nice. It's a good time. And I love my local Triumph dealer in Cincinnati. I bought this from them. I am a loyal customer to them. But I will give Triumph Indy credit. They put on a good show. They're very nice people. just great experience. So yeah, do yourself a favor, go do a demo day, and have fun, keep riding, and yeah,